I'm so excited because we have finally reached cool temperatures out here. It is in the 60s. It's quite windy, as you can see. And so I have a heavy coat on, or a heavy jacket for this area anyways, and my pants that are really thick because last night it was so cold. We haven't put heat in the cabin yet, but we weren't worried about it. But it got down into the low 50s inside the cabin, so definitely need to go ahead and set up the heat in there. I was amazed at how cool it is this early in the year because, as some of y'all that's been around for a minute know, we could have 80-degree temperatures all the way through December. It's really funny how the weather acts in southeast Texas. We're right on the coast, so it stays pretty well insulated here. Usually February is our coldest month, but I'll take the cool weather because it is really, really hot to work outside when it is in the 90s. It is just miserable. So a couple things have changed in the last week. We went up to Bryan College Station where my husband's working, that area, and we went with some of the kids and my mom, and we drove around different areas throughout the day and grabbed some chicks and got some Freedom Rangers and got some Americanas. So we've had those for a few days. And you can see the last of our broilers, the white Cornish cross. We have 7 left. So they're finally getting big enough that I can go ahead and process them. But I also got some Freedom Rangers with the intent on processing them because I wanted to kind of transition over to those birds. But before I did, I wanted to see how much meat was on them. So I found a family in Caldwell that had processed a lot, but they weren't impressed with the lack of breast meat. They said they tasted pretty good, but they didn't produce as much breast meat as they would like. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I will say we were supposed to get 5 hens and 2 roosters. 1 hen got attacked, so we ended up getting that for free. And then the rest of the Freedom Rangers, we got all of them for $24, which wasn't too bad when you just want to try it out. I didn't have to put any feed or any effort into raising them. The issue is one, they're not super friendly. As you can see, they're all hiding inside of the coop and from us. The second thing is, unlike Cornish cross, these guys can actually fly up. So the first night I got them, I put them inside the coop, and this coop has an open top, or at least the run does, because we opened it up at the bottom for the Cornish to get in and out, and I didn't expect these guys to fly as easily. I didn't know what to expect, and they do, because although you can see this is a pretty good sized rooster, we end up with 2 roosters to process, they're light enough they can still fly. And so that was the first big surprise for me, because I'm used to the Cornish, which cannot fly at all. The second thing that took me by surprise is Cornish can be aggressive, but they're slow enough it doesn't matter. However, these Freedom Ranger roosters, they are the meanest roosters ever. They have gone after me, they've gone after my son, they've gone after the other birds. And so at first we considered, okay, what would happen, because we know that they are crosses and they don't breed true. We were wondering what would happen if we let the roosters breed with the Red Ranger hens. We knew we would get crosses, but we were curious. But now we're thinking, absolutely not. These are some mean roosters. So I still want to process at least those 2. I feel like the Red Ranger hens, they were born in mid to late July, but they're still extremely light, in my opinion. They're supposed to taste really good, dressed out to be around 4 pounds, but just not have that big of a breast meat. So I am curious about that, but my mom and I have been considering just letting them grow up and lay some eggs for a little bit and see over time they start putting on more weight and fat as they age. But I'm not really sure exactly what we're going to do. I think it depends on their temperament. The hens overall actually seem a bit friendlier than the roosters. They're a lot more calmer. I know roosters kind of had that instinct to protect, but they're kind of jerks. These two are. So I think those definitely have to go, we've decided. But if the hens start picking on the Americanas, then they can go ahead and be processed too. Honestly, it'll lower the feed bill in the long run. But we did get 4 Americana hens. And we may get more. We wanted something that was more of a production layer, but we got a really good deal on these. We got them for $15 each from a trusted family up there. They do a lot of work for chicks.Then, so we were really excited about that. And since I trust them, I didn't have any issues going to get some of their extra hens. These are only 5.5 months old, so I guess technically they could still be considered pullets, but that's okay. I'm really excited about having them. Even though they aren't known for laying a ton of eggs every day like a typical production layer, having 3 to 4 minimum blue-green eggs will be exciting for the kids. And I mean, who doesn't want beautiful eggs? So sometimes, you know, it's okay to sacrifice a little bit of protection for joy, especially if we get all of the family members involved. Now you can see these Cornish, they're struggling, they're starting to waddle, so it is time. They're finally fattened up. When I first got them, these were the smallest, and there's just no way that I was going to be able to process them, but they're doing a lot better. And now you can see, because I'm at a distance, the Americauna hens are starting to kind of come out and say hello. I'm going to see if I can't walk around and get a better shot of them. I think we have 1 or 2 gray ones and a brown one, and then one that I'm not really sure exactly what its color is, but they're really, really sweet and pretty. So these girls, when I got them, were kind of in a big coop and pen. I think they've pretty much been left to themselves, so they're a little nervous and not sure what to think about me. But they're really friendly. They don't seem to mind when the kids go in there at all. And these girls have been really good about getting in the coop at night and roosting in there. I need to get an actual roost because the coop, for the longest time, we mostly had ducks and geese. So I didn't really have to worry about them roosting. They just laid their eggs in the bottom of the coop and everything else. I haven't put nest boxes back in because these girls are fairly young. Let's see, you're gonna see the fence because I need to walk around a little bit and get through here. They're kind of hanging out over here in this area. They're just as happy as can be. And then this little reddish orange one right there, that is the Freedom Ranger. Those are the girls. And then those roosters are the boys. You can kind of see through all the chicken wire and all of that. So on top of all of that, we happened to get a really good price on chicks. We ended up with 14 chicks in total. Unfortunately, one didn't make it, but it wasn't smushed. It didn't seem to have really any real issues. It just happens sometimes. They're going to start running around and acting fearful since I'm out here. There are 13 Lavender Orphingtons and 4 Brahmas. And I don't know exactly what color the Brahmas are. I didn't ask their specific color, so I think 2 are light Brahmas and 2 maybe dark Brahmas. I'm not sure. I wasn't worried about color. I did see the light Brahma parents. Those are the white and black ones. But I didn't pay a whole lot of attention because my mom just really wanted Brahmas. And Lavender Orphingtons are usually pretty pricey chicks around here. But we're way up there and he does bulk sales. We are able to get 14 chicks for $25. I thought that was an excellent price. We'll definitely be going back for more chicks, and he keeps all of his breeds separated, which was awesome. So I was pretty excited about that. Now, this brooder is actually one that we made from scratch, and I've made a video about it before. The one thing about it is when it's hot outside, you absolutely cannot use it if it's too hot, because the plastic soaks up so much heat. It'll be 120 in there in no time. Right now, because our red light went out, we have an incandescent bulb because they produce quite a bit of heat in here. And I also have, my husband managed to find my light bulb. It's, I can't for the life of me think what it's called, but it's one of those lights that doesn't produce any light, just heat. And it's a really cool bulb to have. I think people mainly use them for reptiles, but I actually really like those. Those are some of my favorites. One thing about them is sometimes the birds will navigate towards the heat, but if they're used to a light for heat, they'll look for that source. So sometimes you have to start with a light in there and put the other heat lamp near it, and then remove the light once they realize where the heat source is coming from. But here you can see it's just a regular light bulb. If you get an LED light bulb, they're made to be cool, so it will not keep anything warm. But this is kind of an emergency situation. So here's their water. I put it up on this brick, and they don't drink it very fast. This will last about 2 days, so I just have to come in here and rinse it out, because chicks are known for kind of getting shavings and pooping in their water. But this is up on this brick, so it actually stayed fairly clean, all things considered. And then this is their feeder. I saw someone on YouTube using these feeders, and I realized that they can't get in and scratch at all the feed and waste it. So this is now one of my favorite feeders to use for chicks, which while I'm out here, it looks like I probably need to go ahead and clean out the little bit of shavings that are in here and refill it, but it just pops open. And I actually don't know if I can do it with one hand, but see, these little buttons just pop open, and it comes all the way open, all the way across, and it works out really well for chicks. And then they're all running from me, but you can see all the babies. Let me zoom in a little bit. The bluish purple ones are the Orphingtons, and the two yellowish ones and the ones that are a little darker, kind of brownish, are both, or all four of those are the Brahmas, and they have feathered feet. I try to kind of stay away from most feathered feet chickens here because sometimes it gets really wet out in the backyard, but where the coop is and the part that's fenced off actually separates the part that tends to hold a lot of water from the rest of it. So I think that's going to make a big difference with the chickens. It was separated like that so we can separate the goslings from all of the ducks when they were younger, which I actually have a couple videos on that, quite a few, because I try to video the entire process of us raising the goslings all the way up until we finally got rid of them. So I definitely want to get back into geese, except for until we finally settle on property. My parents are really going to make a lot of those decisions, and their hearts are pretty much set on pilgrim geese, or not pilgrim geese, Toulouse geese, which are smaller than the Ebdens, but that's what they really like. Now you can see this wire, for one, it allows everything to breathe, and it also keeps out predators for the most part. It's not perfect, but it is working. Now this is just a big IBC container. They're 4 foot by 4 foot, so it's about 16, what? Anyways, so it's about 16 square feet, and that is more than enough for all of these baby chicks. If you really wanted to and you had it in a building or some kind of cover, this up top, you could just unscrew it like this and pull the heat lamp through the top of it, or you could pull this out in the center and pull it through the top of it, which we've done before, and it works really well. You can't do that if it's raining, because obviously water would fall right through it, and you really have to be careful because, for one, you don't want water all in there, but you don't want that cool water to touch a hot light bulb. You can only imagine how that would turn out. So that's kind of that. Now, the reason I have this board in here is because last night it looked like it was going to rain all of a sudden. So what my husband did kind of quick is just set this board up like this, and that would prevent, it keeps opening so air can flow through well, but it prevents any kind of water from getting in. This is kind of turned backwards. It has the coop to protect it right here, so it really would work well until we figure out exactly where to get it. The problem is that we built that container after we built this coop, so it would be really hard to get it in without taking an entire side off, and I don't really want to do that. Now I could drop this off right here and push it in, but previously I had some rabbit cages in here, and let's see, what are you guys doing? And so I just kept the babies in there, but I don't currently have any of that because, like I said, we were moving and selling our property. It was kind of a surprise to us that my parents decided to buy it, but I think it was a nice surprise. And it works out because, like I said, I put the little cabin in the garden, so when my husband's not, when we're out of town, we can stay in the RV until we get a house built. But when we're here, we have this cabin that we can also stay in addition to the main house, which is really nice. And then look at these girls. Aren't they beautiful? All over the ground and all the leaves, you can see acorns are falling everywhere from this oak tree. Kind of expands, it goes all over the coop and everything. It's really cool because it drops these acorns and the chickens eat them. It's a really nice food source for them, and I really enjoy that. And you can see my son gives them the banana leaves and the banana plants. But overall, we're pretty excited to get all this started. I kind of want to show off some of the newer animals and talk about some of our plans. My husband is blowing the dirt and leaves off of the concrete, and it's kind of, the wind's catching and blowing it this way. You can kind of see, I don't know if you can actually see this. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. The kind of smoke blowing over everything. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I need to butcher some of these white meat chickens today and get them out of the way, maybe the roosters too. And I really need to spend the week in the garden getting that done. So that is ultimately what I'm going to spend the entire week doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed getting to see some of our new birds, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to learn with us. I am looking at taking a course or two about raising these red broilers, but right now I'm just not really sure I like them. The hens do grow pretty slow, and the roosters are pretty hateful. So I'm kind of questioning how I feel about it. But I didn't raise these. I don't know what went into them when they were younger or how socialized they were. So part of me is curious about raising them myself, but part of me doesn't know if I want to put, 3-4 months into a bird that barely produces what I need it to produce. So I'll be sure when I do butcher them to at least video the carcass so you can see about how much weight is on them. So thank you guys again. This is the update and what's going on here.